Well, need to welcome you back, and we'll see the big story for today. We're talking about the recent call for the return of parliamentary system of governance. Many feel it will help deal with the issue of overbearing power to the executive, and not just only that, but also help cut down the cost of governance that Nigerians feel it seems to be on the high. Well, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has made every effort to see how he can cut down on the cost of governance, especially with the recent directive indicating that ministers and all those in public offices should not travel overseas because of the high cost and the overbearing burden it seems to have on Nigerians. But is that enough? Will this system of governance help deal with the issues? Or what's your reaction? Your reactions will come later, but let's quickly get a message from our sponsors, and we'll come back. More discussion centered on this very one today on the Big Story.
Follow the road, auto better quality. If you talk gas matter, follow Benetta. Gas with the better quality. Benetta gas where they full rich man to Benetta gas. Delivery brother na sharply. Benetta gas no mango. Benetta gas different type of gas cylinder. Benetta gas we go last you well. Benetta Benetta now do Benetta gas service in a them they run Benetta make you carry go
for gas matter and home delivery. Make you wire Benetta gas plant for 080-6745-7890 and 080-5904-7722. Benetta gas plant, the Etekwele of gas matters.
It's colorful, so colorful, wow! It's Oza Furniture and Interior Merchant, a leading name for luxurious furniture at ultra-modern super showroom. Well-stocked is now located near you for the sales and installation of long-lasting exotic and quality interior and exterior furniture for your living space, such as foreign Turkey royal chairs and sofas, glass, wooden and marble royal dining tables and chairs, conference tables and chairs, executive office tables, reception tables, orthopedic office chairs, etc. Oza Furniture and Interior Merchant has in stock royal king-size and queen-size beds, wardrobes, mirror consoles, wall frames and artworks for decoration, wine bars, big TV shelves and TV stands, gym equipment like motorized gym bicycles, gaming chairs, treadmills, outdoor swing chairs, etc. All at affordable prices. We deliver with our vehicles. To make your home that cozy paradise, locate our super showroom along DSC Expressway opposite Platinum Banquet Place, beside Ugboloposo Junction, Efru, Delta State. Or call 0806-394-3198 or 0703-368-7179. Uzo Furniture and Interior Merchant for comfortable home interior furniture experience.
Well, it's an experience they want us to relive, looking at how we were governed pre and during the First Republic. We're talking about parliamentary system of governance, and that's what the discussion is today on the Big Story. But I say I have my guest, I'm talking of no other person but Honorable Kovier Andre Petuko. He's the DG Coalition for the Transformation of Nigeria, and we're still having him right here helping out with the discussion. Before the break, we talked, or rather look at that very growing call, especially by 60 lawmakers who are called the Parliamentary Group, indicating that the return of Nigeria back to the parliamentary system as it was pre-independence and during the First Republic would indeed wither down the powers of President Bola Ahmed, or the president rather, and they feel that's not just the case. Also, the cost of governance would be greatly reduced, and that's what they feel we need at the moment. But anyway, as much as we've looked at all of that in the initial half, we still need to look at the potential benefits and drawbacks as it concerns this very move. And I want us to quickly come back to it, Honorable Ekpechuku. Now, I just want us to look at what the lawmakers said. They said, we feel that the current system creates much waste and inefficiency. So they said, and they feel in the proposed system, that's the parliamentary system of governance, the Prime Minister will be appointed by them, which are the legislature. And not only that, it will make him directly answerable to the parliament. Now, do you feel that is the answer to the overbearing power of the president at the moment? Because you just complained bitterly that the power seems to be too much invested in the president. Hence, we're neck deep into the different crises we seem to be. But do you feel if he's being made to answer to the parliamentarians, all of that powers will be cut down?
Yeah, to be very frank and sincere with you, a situation whereby you know that your appointment is based on the parliament, automatically you are subject to the parliament. And as such, the overbearing power or the will for personal decision will not be there in the first place. So when we look at the issue of cost of governance, you realize that the parliamentary system of governance
is even cost effective.
Is cost effective.
We'll come to the cost, but I am still really concerned about the powers that they feel will be trimmed down. Would this not make the president more like a puppet president to the parliament?
No, I wouldn't want to conceive to that, because the fact remains that...
Because like you said, he'll be answerable to them. Don't give him directive, he has to take.
No, the thing is, the essence of governance is services. The question is, who are you serving? You are not serving yourself, you are serving the people. You are just a representative of the people, and you are supposed to govern by the people's aspiration, the people's desire, or the people's will. Yes, I know that as a leader, you have a responsibility to put wills together to ensure that the majority have their way, not their say. But in the system of presidency, the majority may have their say, but whoever is in charge of power will have his way. And you know, as such, you realize that in the presidency system of governance, there is too much power embedded in the hands of the executive, to the point that they even give them immunity. That means you, as long as they are on that seat for the duration of time, you can't do them anything. That is even in excess. Section 308 of the Constitution made that error, which I believe should be corrected, because it makes them feel that they are untouchable, and therefore not even the legislature can do anything to them as long as they are in government. Even though we know that there are laws and there are impeachable offenses.
Because that's where I was going to, because I'm wondering why the parliamentarians are crying when they do have the power to impeach Mr. President. So, because we've not seen them done that. So is it not a fault on their ground that they have the power, they'll be given that constitutional power to impeach Mr. President when he does wrong? But none of them have ever tried, since the beginning of the return of democracy in 1999 up to today. No one has taken the move, irrespective of the misbehavior you feel most of these presidents are bearing. But why have they not taken that constitutional mandate of impeaching them? So it's like they are crying when they have the tools of instrument to deal with the issue.
Yes.
So why not talk of parliamentary system when the presidential system, we are still giving them the powers to impeach Mr. President?
It is quite unfortunate. I've used that word because the fact remains that I can tell you for free that either the president or the governors of the state have power to literally decide who becomes a legislator. I'm telling you the fact.
Okay.
The governor can decide who becomes a senator from that state, or who becomes a House of Rep member from that state, or who becomes a House of Assembly member from that state. Yeah. To a large extent, they influence all that. So why on earth somebody who have influence to be in the House of Assembly to wake up one day and start discussing an impeachment against me, irrespective of my mode of governance? It is challenging. He can't do that. And even if he has the guts to say, no, the citizens want this, you have to be impeached. The question is, what are the processes that is required or that is provided to ensure that that impeachment is achieved? Then you should realize you fall back again to another arms of government, which is the judiciary.
Yeah.
Then by the time you get to the judiciary, then you find another system of governance, whereby the same governors and the president, to a large extent, has influence
But sir, is it not them selling their rights, their birthright to the presidency or to the executive? Because if the presidency also understands, or the executive arm of government also understands, that the legislature have every right to leave them there or remove them, they will also want to behave well towards the legislative arm. But whereby they seem to have lost that power, they seem to have not understand that they hold the magic wand and they do not use it. Why cry out? Why seek us now to look for a different mode of government when you fail to execute what you have?
You see, it's just like the general statement that is made that it is dangerous for you to bite a finger that is feeding you. It's just what we are looking at now, because most of these people in the House of Assembly, in the House of Representatives, and even in the Senate,
yes,
were fed by some of this executive. Some of them were sponsored by some of this executive. Now, how on earth will you now come up to say, oh, Mr. President or Mr. Governor, you are not leading the people well, or maybe you are not working to our expectation, and you have infringed on the fundamental rights of the citizen, and as such, or you have committed an impeachable offense, and as such, we are taking the bold step by following the due provisions of the law to impeach you. Where are you going to summon that courage from? It's not even an issue of discussion. Because even if you have the will, what about the process that is required to effect that will? Will it not be tampered with? Because if you as the executive make such move,
yes,
and the judiciary did not implement it judiciously,
yes,
then there is a problem.
Okay.
If the government in place, if the executive in place is able to influence the judiciary to either slow down or to frustrate that impeachment move, then you have a bigger problem, because I bet you in the next election, be rest assured that you are not coming.
Okay, so can't we deal with that issue rather than throwing the baby and the bathwater? Can't we deal with the issue of trimming down the powers of Mr. President or the executive arm in finding, or rather appointing, who comes up to be part of the legislature? Can't we deal with that problem rather than just throwing the whole process of the presidential system of government out of the window? Can't we do that rather than returning back to the parliamentary system of governance?
Yeah, it's
can't we look for, and funny enough, they are the ones that make the law. Can't they find an amendment to the constitution that makes the president or the executive arm not interfere in who becomes a legislator or a legislator? So can they deal with that issue rather than saying, okay, on a ground of, yes, we need to control Mr. President, we need to bring down his powers, we need to do all of that, return us back to a system that many felt was faulty on many grounds, and the grounds will come back to it pretty soon. But in case you're watching us, it's still Quest Today, and we're looking at that recent call for the return to parliamentary system of government that we experienced during the pre-independence and the very first republic. If you still recall, that system was jettisoned during that very first coup of January 15th of 1966, and ever since we've been returning, or rather we've been practicing the presidential system of governance. Is that the right call, or what do you feel? But anyway, he's still right here with us, and I'm talking of no other person but Honorable Andrew Ekpetuke. He's the DG Coalition for the Transformation of Nigeria. Let's quickly come back to it. Okay, let's leave that issue so we don't overflog it, because you seem not to be changing your mind on that, and you feel a return to the parliamentary system will really trim down the powers of the president or the executive arm. Now, let's come to the issue of cost of governance, because that's another reason they said returning back to the parliamentary system of governance will do pretty well. They feel also the presidential system of governance has breeded corruption. And the reason they gave for that is that they feel the executive arm has all the powers to control the resources of this country. But my question, if they feel that's the problem, are we not also going to see a parliamentary system of government whereby the political class will continue to pad budgets and also award dubious contracts regardless of if they are pre or independent era?
You see, it is quite worrisome looking at the way corruption is almost becoming a norm in our system. So to be very frank with you, even as it stands right now, even if you bring in a parliamentary system of governance, it does not literally take away corruption.
With this same political class?
Yes, because corruption is a mindset. And it is so disheartening that even as down to the primary school level today, corruption is more like embedded in Nigerians, which is so painful. But I still believe that to a large extent, whether the presidential or parliamentary system of governance have a responsibility. But the reason why it is becoming very challenging is still because of the too much power invested in the executive. It's becoming challenging because a situation whereby the executive can influence the legislature, that alone is corruption. So there is no way you can start discussing issue of combating corruption without not first looking at this.
The power
a
of the
situation
president.
whereby the executive can influence the electoral process, that is corruption. A situation whereby the executive can influence the judicial process, that is corruption. You see, looking at all this, it becomes very challenging. Now that they can influence whatever they want and you come into governance, obviously you see the numerous undesired, unneeded appointment that this executive comes up with, of which they are just wasting resources that is needed for societal development. A situation whereby one person will have aid, have SA, in fact, it is so disheartening. Is it that you are not even prepared for this job, that you now have need to have aid on everything? It's so disheartening. I think this is where Nigerians must wake up to the reality, to decide what they want as a people and as a nation. Generally, it is the responsibility of the citizens to decide who becomes either their executive or the legislator. It's only the judiciary that they cannot decide. You know, but at the same time, the citizens are more or less helpless in this today's system of governance, whereby corruption has taken its roots to the grassroots level. You find out that most of the political parties today, the governors are the leaders of the party in the state. That is how they are considered. So automatically, everybody in the party, which happens to be the citizens in that particular political party, are all subject to the dictate of the governor. That is what is happening. So anybody who wants to contest for any position, whether at the
federal or state
level, you just realize that you have to come to the governor. Probably appeal to the governor for consideration. Otherwise, you are likely not going to see the light of the day. We saw what is playing out in our political system today. Look at what happened in Edo State. The governor has, in fact, the governor and the deputy governor, they have a serious fight. It's only when you don't agree with the governors that impeachment can take place in this country. They have a way of doing it. They can get the judiciary and the legislature within hours to conduct an impeachment. But in their case, you will pass through here to get that done. These are the issues, burning issues that we as citizens must look into. And I must tell you that the reason for this 60 legislature are calling for the parliamentary system of government, it boils down on this, because they are becoming frustrated, because it takes grace for them to come to that place. It takes grace and a serious fight. Because the governors of the state, or the head or the leader of the political party in that state, can influence and decide whoever becomes whatever he becomes. So on that note, these people are really frustrated. They just want a situation whereby The best can be picked from among the people to represent them, and that is where the parliamentary system of government plays a vital role.
Well, anyway, you're indeed playing a role in helping us understand this, but I'll plead with you to hold on that role. We need to go on another break. And when we come back, we'll continue our discussion as we will try to wrap things up today. On the big story, we're still looking at the recent call for the return of parliamentary system of government that we enjoyed during the pre-independence and also during the First Republic, but was jettisoned by the military class, especially during that unfortunate coup that took place on the 15th rather, of January 1966. Should we return back there, or should we still remain where we are? But anyway, we need to go on the break though.